At 7:42 on a wet Tuesday morning, Special Agent Simone Avery placed a federal preservation order on the reception counter. Behind Sergeant Wade Hollis, a gray evidence cart rolled toward the destruction corridor. Simone saw the label before Hollis touched her paperwork. Jamal Price, Hawthorne County assault case. The 22-year-old had already spent 19 days in custody. "Stop that cart." Hollis looked at the document, then at Simone. The cart continued moving. Rain tapped against the reinforced windows behind her. Water from Simone's coat gathered near her shoes. Hollis lifted the first page of the order. "There's no local supervisor listed. The order is active now. I need someone from administration. Call the published field office number." Hollis placed the document in a plastic tray marked Pending Review. He did not reach for the phone. Simone opened her credential case and set it beside the tray. Hollis looked at the badge, then passed her toward the empty lobby. "You came alone? I asked you to verify me." Officer Elena Ruiz stopped typing at the terminal beside him. At the far counter, evidence clerk Martin Vega held a barcode scanner over another box. The scanner gave a soft tone. Martin did not move the box afterward. Hollis closed Simone's credential case. "The public entrance is in the next building." Simone kept one hand on the counter. "This is not a public request." The gray cart reached the first controlled door. A technician pressed his card to the reader. The door opened. Simone pointed at the box carrying Jamal's property number. "That item is under federal preservation." Hollis glanced at the technician. He gave one short motion with 2 fingers. The technician pushed the cart through. The door began closing. Simone stepped forward, then stopped before the security line painted across the floor. Her credential case remained beside Hollis. The preservation order remained in the plastic tray. Nothing on the counter had moved. The evidence had. Simone slipped her right hand inside her blazer. She pressed the emergency control on her government phone 3 times. The signal carried no message into the lobby. It marked the time. Elena looked at the wall clock. 7:46. "The electronics cycle starts at 8, she said. Hollis turned toward her. "No one asked you." Elena lowered her hands from the keyboard. Simone repeated Jamal's property number. "Show me the latest scan." "That requires a supervisor," Hollis said. "The destruction order did not?" Hollis opened the log beside his coffee. He turned one page, then turned it back. The item was approved. "When?" He closed the log. Simone looked toward Elena's screen. A list of property transfers remained open behind a county seal. Elena moved the cursor over the search field. Hollis placed his hand on the monitor and pushed it slightly away from her. "Wait for Lieutenant Pike." Simone picked up the preservation order from the tray. The reception stamp showed it had been received at 7:38, 4 minutes before she entered. She placed it back in the same position. "Who accepted this?" No one answered. Beyond the control door, the cart wheels crossed a metal floor joint. The sound came through the corridor in 2 short knocks. Martin set his scanner down. He adjusted the stack of boxes beside him, although none were leaning. Simone could see the destruction log near Hollis's coffee. A fresh entry had been added at the bottom. The ink looked darker than the lines above it. Elena looked at the same page. Her mouth opened once. She said nothing. Simone reached into her coat and removed a second certified copy of the order. She held it toward Hollis. He did not take it. "The county received notice last night," she said. "This copy confirms delivery." Hollis rubbed his thumb along the edge of the counter. "The lieutenant will review it when she arrives." A low motor started somewhere past the second security door. Elena looked at the clock again. 7:51. Simone heard the machine settle into a steady, mechanical rhythm. She did not raise her voice. "Open the transfer record." Hollis remained behind the counter. Elena pulled her monitor back toward herself. She entered Jamal's property number. The screen loaded for several seconds. A red federal preservation banner appeared across the top. Below it, the gray box still carried a green status line. "Authorized to proceed." Elena moved closer to the screen. That should have locked automatically. Hollis reached toward the keyboard. Simone placed 2 fingers on the certified order. "Do not change the record." No one moved. The motor continued running beyond the door. On Elena's screen, the preservation notice showed an earlier timestamp then the destruction authorization. Someone had received the order. Someone had opened it. Then someone had entered permission for Jamal Price's phone to keep moving toward the crusher. The green authorization line remained beneath the Federal Preservation banner. Elena moved the cursor over the entry. A second window opened. The destruction order had been entered at 6:18 that morning. The preservation notice showed as received the previous night. Someone had added a manual exception after both timestamps. Who entered the override? Simone asked. Elena read the operator code. Her hand stayed on the mouse. Lieutenant Pike. Hollis reached across the counter. Close that screen. Elena clicked the window shut. The motor continued beyond the control doors. Simone looked at the clock. 7:53. Elena opened the same window again. Hollis pulled his hand back. The building speakers clicked once. Assistant U.S. Attorney Claire Whitmore's voice entered the lobby. A federal preservation order is now active throughout this facility. Every monitor changed to a fixed notice. No property could leave without federal inspection. The exterior access system shifted into restricted mode. Hollis swiped his card at the front door. The reader stayed yellow. He tried again. The light did not change. Simone asked Elena when Lieutenant Pike opened the preservation email. Elena opened her sent folder. She scrolled past several routine notices. One message carried a delivery confirmation. Another showed the time it had been opened. 9:14 the previous evening. Elena enlarged the receipt. Hollis stood behind her chair. You don't know who used that account. Elena looked at the screen. The login came from her office terminal. Simone held out a clean evidence envelope. Export the message and the access receipt. Elena did not take the envelope. The motor changed pitch behind the second door. Martin looked toward the destruction corridor. That is the warm-up cycle. How long before the rollers engage? Simone asked. Less than 4 minutes. Hollis opened the paper log again. He ran one finger down the page. The item was already cleared. Simone pointed at the received stamp. It was preserved before it was cleared. Hollis did not answer. Claire's voice returned through Simone's earpiece. The federal team had reached the loading bay. The bay lock had been placed into manual maintenance mode. The entry team needed more time. Simone asked Martin for another route. He lifted a ring of keys from his belt. Then, he placed it on the counter. There is a service passage through chemical storage. Hollis looked at him. You are staying here. Martin adjusted the scanner beside the boxes. The machine beyond the wall gave another heavy turn. He picked the keys up again. Elena stood from her chair. My badge opens the inner barriers. Simone looked toward the controlled door. Open them, then return here. Elena held her badge between 2 fingers. The last door requires the card to remain in the reader. Simone paused. Elena waited beside the security line. Simone motioned for her to follow. Martin led them through a narrow maintenance corridor. The air smelled of bleach and warm plastic. Elena opened the first barrier. The lock released after a delay. She stepped forward too early and pulled the card loose. The door stopped halfway. She inserted the badge again. They lost several seconds. At the second barrier, the crusher motor became louder. Martin reached a red emergency handle near the wall. He pulled it down. The motor slowed. The rollers stopped with a metal shutter. The gray box sat beneath them. Its red destruction label faced the door. Simone photographed the seal before anyone touched it. Elena held the room camera on the box. Martin cut the outer tape. Inside lay a cracked phone case. A dead battery rested beneath it. Several metal washers had been taped under the cardboard insert. The phone was gone. Footsteps stopped in the corridor behind them. Lieutenant Lorraine Pike stood at the doorway. Her uniform remained dry despite the rain outside. She carried a printed destruction memorandum. That device was lawfully cleared, Pike said. Simone held up the preservation timestamp. This order arrived first. Pike looked toward Hollis. Sergeant Hollis approved the transfer. Hollis appeared behind her. You brought me the form. I bring you dozens. You told me it was already cleared. Pike folded the memorandum once. Your signature is still yours. Hollis looked at the weighted box. He did not answer. Simone asked Elena to search the exterior transfer log. Elena entered Jamal's property number. No loading dock scan appeared. No vehicle gate scan appeared. No transfer receipt appeared. The phone had not left the controlled area. Martin looked toward the older end of the building. There are emergency storage cabinets near the server corridor. Pike turned toward him. Those cabinets are not evidence storage. Simone looked at the unchanged access log. Then the phone should not be there. Claire confirmed the server corridor had been added to the search area. Elena exported the preservation email. She placed the file inside the federal case folder. Then she signed the extraction record. Her hand shook once near the signature line. The fire alarm sounded before she finished. Interior doors released for evacuation. Simone reached the server corridor with Elena behind her. Through the final door's narrow window, Lorraine Pike stood beside an open medical cabinet. Jamal Price's phone was in her hand. A hydraulic media punch waited on the table beside her. Pike placed the phone beneath its steel head. Elena pressed her badge to the reader. The light remained red. Hollis reached the server door behind them. He looked through the narrow window. Lieutenant Lorraine Pike lowered the hydraulic punch toward Jamal Price's phone. "Open it." Hollis placed his hand over the keypad. He stopped before entering the code. Pike pressed the phone flat beneath the steel head. Simone kept her eyes on the device. "The code, Sergeant." Hollis entered the override. The lock released. Pike pressed the punch control. The machine gave one dull click. The steel head did not move. Federal technicians had cut power to the destruction equipment. Simone entered first. Her weapon remained holstered. "Step away from the phone." Pike kept one hand beside the steel plate. "If that device leaves this building, every case here becomes suspect." Claire Whitmore entered behind the arrest team. "Each case will follow its evidence." Pike looked toward Hollis. "You signed the order." Hollis held the door frame. "You brought me the form. Your name is still on it." Hollis looked at the phone. "I signed it." He stepped away from the keypad. Pike removed her hand from the machine. Two agents moved between her and the table. Another agent photographed the phone in place. Simone placed it inside a fresh evidence bag. A technician checked the seal. He placed the bag inside a signal blocking pouch. The hydraulic punch remained unpowered. By noon, Jamal's cloud backup was open inside a secure conference room. The first video showed the side entrance of Price Corner Grocery. Jamal stood near the wall. His phone faced two Hawthorne County officers. Curtis Price stood between them and the store door. One officer asked when the next payment would be ready. Curtis said the register could not cover another payment. The officer mentioned future code inspections. He mentioned slower patrol responses after closing. Jamal stepped closer. A hand struck the phone. The image turned sideways. The recording continued from the pavement. The audio captured Jamal being pushed against a car. One officer accused him of swinging first. The other began dictating the arrest report. Jamal had not entered the patrol vehicle. A second recording started inside the evidence bag. Lorraine Pike's voice came through the plastic. "Make sure the Price phone never reaches discovery." Claire stopped the recording. She assigned the files to separate case teams. Jamal's attorney received a certified copy. The county prosecutor compared the recording with the arrest report. That evening, the assault charge was dismissed. A judge signed an emergency order sealing Jamal's arrest record. Rain crossed the jail parking lot. Jamal's parents waited near the release door. His mother carried an unopened umbrella. Curtis wore the brown work jacket from the recording. Jamal walked outside with a clear property bag. His wallet rested beside his belt. His shoelaces were folded beneath them. His mother reached him first. Curtis placed both hands on his son's shoulders. He held them there. Jamal noticed Simone near the entrance. "Did you find it?" "Yes." So they saw what happened. They received the original recording. Jamal looked back at the jail doors. Some people already knew. Simone remained beside the curb. Yes, the dismissal closed the assault case. It did not return the 19 days. 4 months of audits followed. Martin Vega surrendered the scan logs he had copied. The records covered nearly 2 years. Auditors identified 43 unexplained transfers. The public report listed the date Martin noticed the first one. It also listed the date he finally reported it. Elena Ruiz provided the preservation email. She provided the access receipt. She signed a sworn statement. The department disciplined her for waiting. Her cooperation remained in the report. Her delay remained beside it. Wade Hollis admitted signing 13 destruction orders. Preferred shifts appeared in his personnel records. A promised promotion appeared in his messages. He surrendered his evidence management certification. The state barred him from supervising property records. He pleaded guilty to obstruction. His cooperation reduced the sentencing range. It did not remove the conviction. Lorraine Pike refused to cooperate. A federal grand jury indicted her. The charges included obstruction. The charges included falsifying evidence records. The charges included attempting to destroy protected property. At the detention hearing, Claire presented the preservation notice. She presented the later destruction order. She presented the weighted box. She presented the server room phone. She presented the recording from inside the evidence bag. The judge denied Pike's release pending trial. County security removed her access before she left the courtroom. 7 convictions were later vacated. Other cases remained under review. Hawthorne County removed the annex from local supervision. A preservation notice now locked related destruction orders automatically. No annex supervisor could remove that lock. Each destruction required 2 reporting chains. Each room entry required 2 access cards. The video feed went to an external server. Annex managers could not erase it. Every destroyed item required a matching barcode. Every destroyed item required a recorded weight. Every destroyed item required a video receipt. 6 months later, 2 objects rested on the first audit table. Jamal's phone sat inside a new sealed pouch. The gray box sat beside it. Metal washers remained taped beneath the cardboard insert. The old red label read, "Destroyed." An auditor placed a white label below it, "Under review." Beyond the glass, the crusher remained in the same room. One employee swiped an access card. The door stayed closed. A second employee arrived. The second card touched the reader. Both names appeared on the monitor. Only then did the lock release. The machine had not moved. The procedure had. This story is fictional.